Hey guys, Cotton Grammar here, another assimilation webinar. Tonight we have a very, very solid lesson for you. Foundational lesson, we want to stay up to date and what you need to do with PBNs. You know, I found that some of the most valuable lessons that I learn are when I go back through foundational stuff and realize that I missed one or two key components, or maybe just that one component that I was missing out before. And we're going to go through the next 2 or 3 weeks. We're going to dive deep, deep, deep down into PBNs. We're going to involve Stephen Floyd. We're going to have Derek on. We're going to bring Greg on. We're going to give you the most in-depth training on PBNs that OMG has ever seen over the next 3 weeks. And tonight, we're going to start out very lightly, but first, we're going to do some questions and answers. It's going to be, it's not going to be a 3-hour assimilation tonight. We're going to try to keep it as short, tight, and precise as possible. And tonight, at the end of this webinar, that's only if you want to. There's not going to be any pertinent information for you. We're going to be doing a Bob Proctor, Ty Lopez webinar at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Not going to be any information that you never heard before. Just talking about OMG, inviting new members to come in. That's going to be at 9 o'clock tonight. If you guys skipped it, you wouldn't miss anything. But for those of you that can't get enough of listening to me or can't get enough of hearing about OMG, that'll be at 9 o'clock tonight. Once again, if you want to join, it's fantastic. If not, there's not going to be any cutting-edge information that you're going to be getting or missing out on if you don't. So with that, say hello to my co-host, Derek Wasiak. What's up, buddy? Guess you might want to unmute yourself.
Oh, hang on.
There you go. What's going on, man? I think you keep muting yourself. I still haven't heard you say a word yet.
Hello?
Yeah, there you go, man. Welcome.
I muted myself and unmuted myself, and I don't know what's going on
here. There you go, man.
It works.
It's the Canadian vortex. That's what it is, right? You're caught in that. So, but
I'm good. How are you?
Always good. Always good. What we'll do is we will jump right into some questions and get this thing started. Let me fire this up right over here. Let me put this question box out and get started. Hey guys, do you have any tips on doing e-commerce SEO? Are there any videos in the OMG dashboard? Is there something else special I should know besides building PBN, sending traffic, and doing social links? Derek, you do a lot of e-commerce sites. What advice can you give this guy without doing regular SEO?
Well, in the terms of what we teach in OMG, it's pretty much covered. Like you can rank it just the same way as you rank your SEO sites or any other money sites. It's just the main targeting a lot of the on page is going to make a lot more difference because products are always usually thin content. So they're usually provided from the distributor, and so it might be on 5, 10, even 100 different sites, right? So just adding, unique tidbits into each product helps a ton. What we do is I think we taught, or I have no idea which videos, but that's going to be one of the most crucial things in an e-commerce site because you're going to have to recycle that juice over hundreds of pages sometimes, right? Like say if you have a category page, that's going to be your top level. So that's the main one you always want to rank. It's the top of your silo. And then recycle that juice so all the categories below that products are going to get also. How far do you want to go into this one? We don't have any real e-commerce training yet in OMG, but there's not too many of us that are doing it other than me that I know. So,
Well, I can tell this is going to be another exciting webinar. You cut out 4 or 5 times during that. So,
oh, really?
Yeah, dude, GoToWebinar has gotten to be absolutely horrendous over the last month and a half since they did this update, like right after Christmas. Everyone's cutting in and out. Sometimes I have to log back in, log out. It's crazy. So
I am on Wi-Fi.
I don't really think it's that. GoToWebinar is just the way it is. It's just not. So if I don't respond back right away, that's what's going on. Next question says, I am working on ranking a relatively new website in a highly competitive construction niche. After researching the number one ranked competitor site for highest search keywords, we found something very odd. 60% of the competitor's site anchor text is completely non-related to the construction and is spamming anchor text for the following three terms: wholesale NFL jerseys for sale, NBA jerseys for sale, authentic, cheap MLB jerseys. Is this any indication that they hired a fiber type service to do backlinks for them, or is it an indication that they are using PBNs? Does any of this mean that you really don't need a lot of keyword related anchor text and you just want your anchor text to blend with the non-related content that is on the PBN? Well, there could be several things that could be the cause of this, and I've ran into a lot of it. There was literally a client that I ran into that they had no idea their site was hacked, and people were selling Vicodin and just all sorts of stuff off of it. One, they could have rebuilt and made their money site off of PBN. Two, they could have 301'd a bunch of trash in there if you look close enough. Derek, what's some other reasons that it could be like that? Can't hear you. Guys, do me a favor, because I don't trust GoToWebinar. If you can hear both me and Derek very clearly, give me a 1, give me a 2 if we're cutting in and out. Just kind of curious. In the Facebook group, so I can know. 2. Wow. Okay. 2, a lot of 2s. People see they're just hearing me. They're just hearing, can't hear Derek. All right. Huh. Derek, do me a favor. Just log in and log out and log back in and see if that doesn't help. So I think that everyone can hear me, but not everyone can hear you. See if that Joe did it on Monday and it worked for him and he was fine. So go ahead and try to log back out. Just don't end the webinar. Log back in, and then we'll go from there. So to re-answer this question, there could be a whole number of different things. You know, guys, it's just kind of like this. There's a lot of weird things where people do hit number one with these certain things. They're going to get clipped sooner or later. The anchor text that they use there, and also, guys, remember, a lot of stuff, tools, there's a lot of bot blockers. You really can't depend a lot on tools. The best thing you can just do is just if you want to take that niche, do exactly what OMG taught you to do. I do not spend a lot of time in looking at competitors' backlinks, worrying about the competition of my competitors or anything. I just always know that I'm going to overtake them with exactly what's taught in OMG. So I wouldn't put a lot of weight or a lot of thought in it. Those are just a couple things before we got interrupted with Derek logging in and logging out that I would definitely look at. The next one is this one. And hold on. Let me make sure Derek's back. Let me make him an organizer. And I want Derek to hear this question as well, because this is a very interesting question. And him and I might have two different answers for it. So it's always interesting if we get contrasting answers, because generally we're both missing something or we're both right about something. Derek, are you back? I can't hear you. Guys, give me a 1 if you can hear Derek, if he's talking, or if you heard him come back, and give me a 2 if you didn't in the Facebook group. I just think that this is going to be one of these webinars to where, because he's going to be doing the lesson today. It's going to be, yeah, there you go, Derek. I can hear you now. Yeah. Was you muted?
No, I don't know. It's just go to webinar. It keeps detecting new hardware all the time.
Yeah, I just think that's what it is. You'll be all right. Here's a very interesting question. Is there any reason why it would be a bad idea to be an authorized manager on many clients' Google My Business? What's your thoughts on that, Derek?
I guess maybe depending on your your methods.
Mm-hmm.
if you're using all your PBNs and
Mm-hmm.
on all these people, and then
Right.
you're basically linking all these together, saying that, yeah, I do run all these guys. And so, I mean, for me personally, I split it over maybe 4 accounts.
Mm-hmm.
And because I mean, I'm not their account. Like if they give you their Gmail information, it always makes you bypass. Like you have to have a security check. You know, it's because it's a different login IP and stuff. So I always prefer to be added as a manager. You just gotta make sure that you have multiple accounts. But I don't know. I think 5 to 10 is usually per account is safe.
Mm-hmm. My answer on it is, my answer is I'd be very careful. And I have evidence and proof that if you're tied into too many accounts and if one account gets hit with a penalty, it will chain react and it will nail a lot more. I've had that happen with webmasters. So with Google My Business tied into that, someone gets a manual review, someone gets a penalty. I can tell you this, anytime that I've got a penalty inside of Webmaster Tools, it nailed at least 80% of all the other domains that I had registered in with it. So I always, just as a safety precaution, have aged Gmail accounts, different proxies. And if I have to take control of it, especially the Google My Business, and change something, I use a totally different proxy, a totally different email address just to do it. I don't want anything tied into what I'm doing, but I'm extra cautious with that because I got burned once. It might be something that you might not ever encounter or you might be able to get by with forever. But when you get burned once, you just be a little bit more cautious with things in the future. So that's
I know that I've had people. Well, I've just been the manager of their account, and then say like other SEOs, and I was just doing like a detox in them, and then they got a penalty on their site. It didn't affect anything. It's a lot safer than actually owning the account. But.
Yeah, great. Okay, next question. Well, we're going to be covering that tonight, so I'm going to skip that question. What was a turning point in your SEO career? All your stories are always entertaining and informative. Really no turning point in it. I just consistently studied at the same level that I had from the first moment I've got into OMG. It's either I'm always researching and developing something. Either it's going to have to do with, client acquisition. It's going to have to do with R&Ding a client method, SEO, a lot of different stuff, but I keep myself focused into SEO and client consulting. A lot of people like to venture out and do all that sort of stuff. I don't claim to be an expert in Amazon. I don't claim to be an expert in lead generation, even though technically I am getting leads through lead generation, through search engine optimization. I've never built an affiliate site, have no desire to, just things like that. So I like staying laser focused on a couple things. And, if I've got to $600,000 a month doing 2 things really well, there's no point of adding 3. I can always scale up what I'm doing right now because I don't even think that I'm at 40, 50% what I could literally do monthly. OMG does take up a lot of my time that if I were to just devote and put back in my agency, I would easily be at $1 million a month. There comes a certain point to where, what's another $300,000-$400,000. I know a lot of people go, well, that's a lot of money, but in the end, as long as you're happy and you're not stressed out, is that bumping up there? Is that going to make me happy, or is that going to make me go bananas? So, just having a balanced and being happy and being content and being fulfilled with what you're doing is always a turning point in anything. What about you, Derek?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there was an actual specific date where there's a turning point or anything. It's more of like a daily grind until all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm starting to actually make some traction. But yeah, it's pretty much the same story. I don't remember what the rest of the question was though.
Right. No. Just what was your turning point in your SEO career? That was all. They just wanted to know. And with me, obviously joining OMG. So
yeah. Oh yeah, OMG was definitely a turning point. It's like the networking ability and just you're skyrocketing your skill levels. So
Sure. Absolutely. Being around the right people is always very, very, very important. Especially, I might be working on something that Derek would have no desire to, but if I share it with him, he can plug that into his business and vice versa. So having a great network of people around you one of the things you have to understand is there's a lot of information. There's way more information than Derek or I or we could ever share. But, what comes to those things is you have a tight inside circle. You keep that sort of stuff in there. And when you contribute to that circle, when you prove that you've won out and you're the man that has the answers, not the man that waits on the answers, then you get kind of invited into another little circle and, you add to it, you pull back out of it. So it's just one of those things. And that's how you keep gaining other levels of SEO, is a tight working network that you contribute in, not just take from. And, there's a lot of OMGers. What was funny is there's an OMGer this week that I got a complaint from another one that was just angry because this person refused to tell them how they were getting clients. They're just like, I'm going to keep that to myself. And, the dude went off on the girl. It's like, man, this is an OMG. You're supposed to share everything. Well, that's not necessarily true. No one's just going to sit back and you've paid your way in and you have the same information that everyone else has. And if you want information beyond a certain level, you participate. And, you share things that aren't being revealed or test things that aren't getting revealed. I've developed a great relationship with Greg only because Greg shares stuff with me because I share stuff with Greg. And it's a very mutual relationship that goes back and forth. Same way with Derek and I. It's a mutually beneficial relationship. It isn't Derek's getting everything off me and I'm getting everything off Derek. It's a very mutually beneficial and very healthy relationship going back and forth of information. And that's really when your SEO career is really going to take a turning point, when you start having answers instead of taking answers. And that's my best advice. I like that. So we got a pretty interesting question here, Derek. Someone wants to know who is Marty and who is Doc in the picture. I'm going to let you be Doc. How's that?
right.
You're the smart one. You're the smart one. I'll be the adventurous one. How's that?
Yeah.
So you're going to be in the lab more than I would. I'll be out running around trying to hoverboard. So next question is, do you reveal your minimum to people referring you to clients with a warm handoff besides that they have ever done business with you? And does this wreck the framing from the start? I've never really had a problem with this. The question really, let me just kind of go back over the question again is, do I reveal my minimum to people that's referring clients to me? No, I do not. And, if they ask me, I just tell them to refer over to me. Everyone's got a whole different set of criteria. Everything is a case-by-case basis for me. There's a lot of times I do pro bono. If I get a good charity or, if I see something that I'd rather do a trade with because I really believe what someone's doing, then I'll do that. So I never tell my clients or ex-clients to tell people that there's a minimum. It's to just say, hey, look, if you want to get some extra traffic, if you want to get some more exposure, if you want to get, some more people inside your store or your business, you need to contact this guy. And I pretty much take it over from there. What about you, Derek?
Yeah, it's pretty much the same thing. So let's skip the client questions for me.
There we go. Next question is, I understand that having two money sites under the same host is not a good idea or safe. Would it be okay if they were both using the same host in completely different accounts? Derek, I'll throw that to you.
Yeah, it's completely fine. I mean, you just just have to avoid patterns. So when you're doing anything, just think to yourself, where's the pattern? Just because it's on the same host doesn't mean it's going to be a pattern, right? Mm-hmm. If they're on the same IP, yeah, it's going to be a problem. The GoDaddy's massive host, it's not going to be, it's like finding a needle in a haystack, right? And it's completely safe there. But if you're if you're PBN linking from this whole bunch of the same IPs, and then you're linking to two money sites and the same host and the same like IP address, then it's gonna catch up with you. I mean, well, I've seen guys go months and months or even years without getting any kind of problems from those kind of footprints, but it always catches up eventually. So.
Mm-hmm. Great. I see I'm getting some assimilation-like questions in here. I'll see if I can answer a couple of them. Even though it should be safe for assimilation light. Still confused about building out social sites. Some make sense for linking back to the site, and most don't. Stuff like blog curation sites, bookmarking sites, solicited blog-only sites, etc. seem to be the majority. Am I missing something? I would build out anything that's a known, and we've covered that in assimilation light. They all have a beneficial value, whether you can get your brand name in the link that will brand you, or whether you can get a link back to your site. If you can't get either, then to me, it's a worthless. There's no point. But there's several social profiles that I have built for myself that have cotton grammar in the URL, which builds a little shield around my website. So if there's bad reviews or other stuff that come through, it's not very easy. So I've got about 10 to 15 pages back of, what I call a social fortress around my site. It kind of shields it from other stuff and branded stuff that goes through there. So it was more of an exercise that I told you guys to do in assimilation light. You're really overthinking it. So, Cotton, will you explain what you cover in your video analysis? Never. Ever. There's one part of my business that I will never go over. I feel that I give enough information. I've helped out enough. Some things I will always keep to myself and I will never reveal. Feel that video analysis are much like proposals. They have to come from the heart and you have to be authentic. I've already got 1,500 people copying my website. And the last thing I want is 1,500 people copying my video analysis, which is how I make my money and how I do my bread and butter. So what I would tell you is if you dig deep into the videos and the training that I've done, and especially in some of the assimilation light videos that I've done, and even in the Agency 101, I pretty much tell you how to do it. Guys, it's not rocket science. You just bring up a couple tools, SEMrush, mods, a couple other things, throw some things together and just talk. And just act like you know what you're doing, and that's it. But what it has to be is authentic, and it needs to come from you. It's not going to work out any well for me or you to have, 1,000 people running around imitating me when you're not me and I'm not you. I would rather you sound like you and you sound genuine, and, that's just it. So the video analysis is something that I am very, very adamant about, that everyone needs to do this yourself. And I've got my own formula that I do mine by. And it's not that hard coming up with one. There's only so many tools. There's only so many things you can talk about. And it's easy to come up with. Now, if you want me, and I don't want 1,000 videos being sent over to me, but if you have an important client and you want me to look at your video analysis and have me critique it, if I've got time, I'll be more than happy to do that and give you some pointers. The biggest issue that I've seen with people that have asked me to do that is their video is too long. It's way too long. I've had 20-minute videos. Look at it like this. A business owner is always short on time. Anything, 6 to 8 minutes is right around a sweet spot. If you can get it done in 5 to 8 minutes, you're doing great. Anything beyond that is literally you're being a narcissist and believing that what you're saying is so important that they need to sit and listen. So there's nothing that you have to say that's more important for them to hear that's going to go beyond 8 to 10 minutes. It's just impossible. I've done thousands of these. So just keep them under 8 minutes, 10 minutes max if you really feel you got to go on a good ramble. But generally, a lot of times, new people like to data dump. What data dumping is in sales is proving that you know what you're talking about, and it's just useless talk. So just give the basics. Less is always more with video analysis. Get in, get out. That's it. And you'll find that about sales, less is always more. The more you talk, the more you're going to trip yourself up, the more questions you're going to bring up. So hopefully that helps. Next question is, how do I determine my keywords for a competitive city like Los Angeles for my SEO site. Pretty simple. Log into SEMrush, type in Los Angeles SEO, and scroll down. You'll see all the keywords that you need to go after right there. Next question. Meeting with a client who has a Shopify store, competitive niche, DA18, ranks for some products, clients already with a company for IT services, and wants to set some realistic expectation. Is the best SEO strategy to use category pages to rank related product keywords? Client has high-profile partners, people you would recognize. Derek, I'll let you answer that. You mess around with Shopify, I do not.
Okay, what was that last part? Using competitive or category? I can't find the question.
Yeah,
I don't know what timestamp you're at.
It's 6:37. It's Mike. If you go to 6:37 and Mike, you'll find it. He just says, is the best SEO strategy to use category pages to rank related product keywords?
To rank the category page to rank the rest of the links.
Yeah. Did you find the question at 6:37, Mike?
I don't have a mic. 6:37.
Oh, you know why? All your questions might have got wiped out.
I'm an
That's
hour.
right. Yeah, all your questions got wiped out when you logged in. When you logged out and logged in. So, yeah, he just says, is the best SEO strategy to use category pages to rank for related product keywords?
Well, that's the best way to rank long tail, right? So, like any of the, if your actual product is more competitive, send most of the links to the individual product, right? So, like sometimes you're going to have a lot more competitive products, like say if you're selling, Apple iPods or something like that, it could just be into the category of music devices, right? And then music devices may be competitive, but the money's going to be in the Apple stuff, right? So you're going to have to rank it middle page that you're going to have to really sniper anything really competitive. So I don't know. I think that kind of answers it.
Okay, great. Trying to getting through all here where people say they can hear me. Now we're just getting past that. So here we go. Got a question for Cotton. Trying to get my Google partners charities lined up for free AdWords. How many hours per month are required for services for each charity? I'm trying to get my Google partners charities lined up for how many hours per month are required to services
each charity.
Yeah, there isn't. I mean, if you're a Google partner and you've already got your charity signed up for that, you get $10,000 of AdWords every month. It's what you use or not. I have a couple charities right now that I got them set up with it, but I told them that I wasn't going to manage the AdWords for them, and they only use a couple. I don't know, like $500-600 a month worth of the AdWords. They don't use them all, but there is no minimum required that you have to do to keep it. They just get it. I mean,
I think it's going to change a lot because, I mean, like the different keywords, everyone's going to be bidding on different types of keywords. If they're bidding on $10 click CPC, I mean, your hours, it's not a constant,
Right.
But, I mean, it's something you definitely want to sit down and figure out because you're going to figure out your own hourly wage, basically,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Here's going to be a pretty controversial question. So I'm going to let us both answer it. Are you ready, Derek? Because I might have a controversy answer, but we just talked about this a couple days ago during while we were Skyping. Is there going to be training on schema, or is it something that we should be worried about or even do, or is it going to increase rankings? You want to go first? You want me to go first?
Sure. I mean, I think the level that we've already taught on the webinars is more than enough what you need, and most of it is minimal for like actual like for my test of a boost, I know some people have gotten pretty decent boosts, and I honestly don't know how isolated those studies are. Like I can't really say if they're combining with something else just to get results or whatever. And like I if there's a good plugin, yeah, use it. I mean, I pretty much just stick to the basics for schema. I don't go anything into too crazy client sites, and just basically adding the local, and that helps a little bit. And I think it's going to be a bigger role in the next 6 months or so, but right now, it's not going to be the defining factor of you ranking. That's all I can say.
Yeah, I've done some testing with it on several sites, and I've not found any significant boost of any sort. If things move up 1 or 2, that's normal for me on whatever. Yeah. I'm not. I haven't seen any. All of a sudden, I was at 4 somewhere, and I just jumped to number 1. I've never seen that. A lot of the people that are giving these testimonials are on sales pages, or that they're selling plugins and other stuff. I'm not seeing that. It's not. If you can do schema easily, I don't see any reason why not to add it. It's kind of one of those things. Is it necessary? No, not yet. If you can easily do it, if you got a plugin that you can just pop it in there quickly and get it done. But I'm not going to tell you to go out and take a full course on HTML to know how to put schema in there, because it's going to make you because it's the definitive boost in rankings at all. So
yeah, it's going to help with your click-through rate. Display snippets, like
sure.
If it's a review keyword or something like that, you definitely want to show some kind of star rating, because it's going to draw the eye. Like that kind of stuff, and snippets or schema helps a little bit, but it's not even the reason why most people are getting rich answers on their results. I'm not sure if everyone even knows what rich answers are, but
yeah, I totally agree with you, 100%. Interesting question coming up here. It's kind of a statement. He goes, Cotton, my meetup didn't go so well. Only startups and financial planners and the like showed up. People who can't afford to pay for SEO. Even though I had a no startup rule in a meetup, I'm still going to keep doing it every month. But meanwhile, going to start straight up cold calling in Yellow Pages like you taught last year. Good plan, you think? Try an alternative method to warm up. Here's the thing with the meetups. And guys, these people know people. If they're wasting time to show up to your meeting, you want to gauge their interest in SEO, period. And if these people are interested in SEO, then what I've got is a room full of people that are my employees. That's what I've got. I've got people that can't afford me but want me. And that's the best position to be in. It's called supply and demand. There's a demand for my services, and they have no supply for the money. So what am I going to do? I'm going to put them to work. I'm going to slap them. I'm going to put a hard hat on them. I'm going to slap a lunchbox in their hand. I'm going to slap them on the ass. I'm going to put them out on the street, and I'm going to tell them to send me 3 client referrals. And when I sign them, I'm going to do their SEO for free. So any sort of meetup like this where you get these people in there, and what you really want to find out is how badly they want this done. And if they really want it done badly, it's your job to get these people to say, my God, I have to have this. I want it. Well, what can I do? Think about how many people might have a Ferrari if all you had to do is go out and find 2 people that would buy a Ferrari. You might find a couple people that would go out that might want to buy a Ferrari. So my thing is anytime you get people to show up, it's a win-win-win situation. It's what you do with them while they're there. So I wouldn't take that as a negative. I'd take that as a positive. You did something right. Your page and how you wrote your meetup, you did something right, and that's to be commended. So instead of getting frustrated, what I'd do is I'd open up a page, maybe in another city, maybe another suburb in another city. And you know what I'd do? I'd try a webinar, or I'd try something else. So I wouldn't get discouraged. So guys, if that makes sense, that you get a room full of people, but you don't have any buyers, that's still a good thing. Does that make sense to you? Give me #makes sense. I want to make sure that you realize that you've done a lot of stuff right. You got people to move from their house. You got people to get in your car. You got people to drive, and you got people to come see you. Now it's your job to get them enticed enough to where they literally want to go out and find you some clients. So you can do their services for free because they can't afford it. Remember, if you're just starting out, don't turn down anybody. I'm in a position right now to where I can make a very accurate assessment whether the juice is going to be worth the squeeze or not with someone coming on as a client. And I mean, I've had to turn down like 5 or 6 clients this week. It's just, I could already tell that they weren't going to be a good fit for what I was wanting to do or where I was at. They were requiring too much, or they just didn't fit the right business model that I wanted to do, or I just thought they'd be too demanding or so. When you get in a position where you can pick and choose your clients, then do so. But if you're starting out, my God, if you got a room full of people, put them to work. Put them to work for you. So hopefully that helps you out with that answer. Next one is, it says, yeah, it's been amazing. I worked on both. Hold on here. He's just wanting to say thank you to you and me that he's got $19,000 worth of clients since joining up. Eric Chons. That's good stuff. More people asking for the video proposal stuff. You got my answer earlier on that. So it says, I know.
Cool. Do some competitive research. That's what I would do if you want to watch everyone's videos.
Yeah, definitely. It says, I know the direct paid SEO clients are just around the corner and a big conference booster. Yeah, it's just a statement. Next one, it says, Cotton, I want to thank you for your extra work in Simulation Light Webbies. A lot of great will. Thank you. You are welcome. Simulation Light webinars was not even intended to happen. We just kind of threw them together and did it on the spur of the moment. Next question is, do you build out your social fortress or use a service to do it? I'm going to plead the fifth on that one. We will go to the next question. It says, do the backlinks from archive pages of authority sites carry the same value as normal pages? Derek.
Well, when it comes to juice, it doesn't matter what it's labeled as, right? So if it has more backlinks going to an archive page and an authority site versus like a brand new page, it's going to carry more weight, right? So you just want to make sure that it's still in the index and it has some good quality backlinks. Mm-hmm. But other than that, it's just your pages in your WordPress have no value anymore. Of course they do. So
mm-hmm. Great. Next question is, hey, Cotton, I listened to the webinar where you were talking about the most commonly asked questions by clients. I'm not sure if this was covered. If we did last week, it says, a client asked me, what happens if after 6 to 9 months of SEO process, their site suddenly drops? Are they insured? Can I get them back? Can I get them back on track for free? It's a great question, and it's one that I should have covered. So I'll go ahead and answer that question. Pretty much, if I'm working on that site and it's 6 to 9 months in, their site's going to be as strong as it's ever been. I want you to imagine if someone went to the gym and they worked out very hard, ate like clean, and was in the best condition that they've ever been in after 8 to 9 months. And then their question is, well, what happens if I sit around, eat potato chips and eat cheesecake and just decide not to work out for 4 months? And everyone around me, all my buddies in the roofing business, are working out and eating organic and killing it, lifting, getting stronger. What happens? Am I insured? The answer is no. But what I tell them is it's inevitable that they will probably need a refresh at some point. Some sites need them sooner than others. Some don't need one for a long time. Just depends on the level of competition and how aggressive their competitors are and how they want to get. If you've got very aggressive competitors, then SEO consistently has to be done to maintain a number one position. If you've got a equally qualified SEO that's continuing to build quality links to your competitor sites. So what I normally tell them is this: one of the things that I've stopped doing with these clients, which helps me money, is I want you to think about this. What I can do is I can bring them on for another month. Let's say that I kept them for 9 months. And let's say that at month 15, 16, they drop to number 2. Like, oh my God, Cotton, we dropped to number 2. What can we do? There's two things. There's you know what I'd like to do? What would you guys do? I want to see what you guys do, and I'm going to tell you what I do. So put it in the Facebook group. I would like to hear what you guys do. Do you charge them for another month? Do you charge them for 2 months? Do you do it for free? What do you do? What do you do? I'd like to see what you guys do just out of curiosity. Do you make them pay a full month? Do you give them a discount? Do you do? There's a lot of people say they don't charge, but goodwill. There's people say freebie. They'd say they grace period. Come on, guys. We got like 500 people on here. No one can respond what they do. It's a competitive niche. They're going to have to charge them. We got asked for a referral. Is this still within the year? You charge them. And here's the whole thing. A lot of good answers here. Here's what I want you to look at. Let's say the client's $5,000 and their site naturally drops one position, 6 months after you stop doing SEO. Well, what happens is you can probably easily get them up there in 1 month, if they get you another 5K. Maybe it's 2 months, you stretch them out. They're not going to be happy about it. You got 10K. So you got 10K. Not a good idea. Here's why. It's just 10K. What I do is I refuse to take money after they're my clients. And I've started this about 6 months ago. The only way I'll do a refresh is if they send me 2 referrals. So, and I tell that to them after they stop, after I stop. So it's no surprise to them. So if their site drops and when they call me back, then I'm like, remember when I told you, when I had you at number 1 that it'd probably be a good idea for you to get me 2 referrals. So if your site did drop, I could automatically fix it for you for free. So now what you got is if they say, got you 2 referrals, my minimum's 5,000. Then what happens is they're going to stay on a minimum 6 months. I just made myself 60K off of 1 refresh versus 10K, net 50K. So then they're beating themselves up or they're getting it to me in advance. That's why I have a lot of referrals. Why I don't have to go out, scrounge around for clients. So guys, let me ask you this. If that is something that you can see yourself doing, give me #do it. I want to see you guys if you're going to take that up because guys, this is exactly how to do it. When you let someone go, you want the fear, you want to put them in there that they're going to need you for a while, that something could happen. Guys, you don't go to your personal trainer and you're ripped and you got a 6-pack and you guaranteeing I got this 6-pack 6 months from now? That's crazy. No one could do that. But, if your trainer said, hey, look, send me a couple referrals right now and I'll make sure you stay in shape for the next 6 months. You're going to be like, hey, let me do it. So I don't take money from them. And if they give it to me, I'll go, I'm sorry, I told you, I don't take money from it. A lot of them get frustrated and they leave and go somewhere else. But guess what? I had them for one purpose alone, to become my employee. I want them to send me referrals. This gets them in the mind frame of doing that. So if they go, no, I just want to pay, I don't want to give any referrals, then I just let them die. They've already paid me. I've already did what I'm going to do. Then they're not the type of person that I'm going to keep around in my stable of people that I give. I like send out newsletters and updates on things that are going on. They're just cut off the list. And, not every relationship is destined to be a good relationship. That's as silly as saying that every girl you date or every guy you date or every marriage is bound to succeed forever. There's just certain relationships that have to end at a certain point. But I'd say that 9 out of 10 times, these people will be happy to do it. We'll be happy to do it. So we'll go on to the next question here. Then we'll get it. Hey, Cotton, is it normal that I feel like I don't know enough to get clients? Yes. But I can tell you this. There's nothing better than getting a client that'll put a fire under your ass to get you to study even better. So I would get over that very, very, very quickly. If you wait around till you think the time is perfect, it'll never come. It'll never come. You could just say, I'm just not going to do it. I don't know enough. I mean, some days I feel like I don't know enough for certain stuff, but always works. So let me get one more question. And yeah, you know what, Derek? We've done about 40 minutes of questions. I think it's time to jump into your lesson. Guys, how many of you guys are ready for Derek just take it away. And part one of our 3-part series on PBNs in 2016, what to do and how you do it. And I'm telling you, remember, Derek owns a very, very popular PBN site where you can buy, expired PBNs. You can search for auction PBNs, juicy domains. Derek is one of the guys that literally knows a tremendous about this. I would put him and Steven up there with some of the top 5 people in the world that just have knowledge about PBNs of all sorts and kinds. And if I get stuck on something, I'm like generally going to Greg, Steven, or Derek to ask these sorts of questions. So guys, trust me. If you think that you know everything about PBNs, listening to some of the advanced basics that Derek's going to go over is going to fill some gaps that literally could save your network, save you time, stop you from pulling your hair out, but definitely you're going to benefit from it. So everyone says they're ready. They're ready, Derek. So if you want to take over the screen and take it away, it's all yours, my friend.
If I can figure that out.
Here, I will be more than happy to pass it over to you.
Now. Yeah.
Here, I've already passed it over to you. You just have to accept it.
All right. Okay, so got my fancy graphics, right? So I think this week we're going to cover mostly just buying the PBNs, and because I know with Steven we covered kind of like the safety and how to keep them indexed and stuff like that. So I figure we're going to start this series with PBN buying, because I don't know. Give me a 1 if you're confident in your build your PBNs out, and 2 if you're not confident at all. Let's see what kind of twos, lots of twos. Yeah, there's quite a lot of twos coming in there, so a lot of 1.5s as well. And so, and where are you guys most confident? Are you buying? Give me like 1 for expired domains, 2 if you buy a lot of auctions. Both, right? All right. Is a problem these days. Yeah, I mean SEO has been coming. It's pretty popular now, and then PBNs they're being taught pretty much everywhere right now, and so it's like I like auction domains, and I mean a good auction they're going to $400, $500, $600 right now. And a budget for a lot of people, especially if you're just starting out. If you get a client for $2,000, $3,000 a month, and you can end up buying only 4 domains at that kind of price, right? So I think we're going to go over some techniques to get them a little bit cheaper. All right, so I want to talk about what defines a good PBN, right? So if you don't know what trustful and citation flow right now. All right, it's not bad. Okay, so what I do when I'm actually analyzing these domains, I do look for a citation flow and trust flow. I try to get a 1-to-2 ratio. So meaning usually the minimum I'm going to go for is a trust flow of 10 and a citation here, but this is actually recent. Trust flow, like in Majestic, this is the recent links, not the historic. Okay, so historic is really good, but recent is going to be the most accurate for right now. Okay, so and that's you're going to make your buying decision on your recent. Okay, and then for auctions, I'm usually going for Trustful 20 and I can go up to a TF20/40, and I'm usually okay with that site. It's going to be a little bit, sometimes a little bit more spammier, but a lot of times there's going to be a lot of good sites in that kind of range. And a lot of people don't talk too much about referring domains. Okay, so when I talk about that is how many domains are actually linking to it, and then what. Of an example of like a domain authority 30, and it has 100 referring domains. That's a pretty solid link profile right there, because when you have only 10 referring domains, or say 20, you lose one or two of those and you start significantly losing power quickly, right? Because links, and they can diminish quite rapidly. So the more the referring domains we have, the less likelihood that the diminishing power of that PBN is going to happen. Okay. So domain authority, I take mostly with it kind of like a grain of salt, because it kind of updates really oddly right now, and you'll buy a domain and it'll say DA30, and then next week it's a DA15 for some reason, right? Because Moz is just constantly adjusting their algorithm, and I've seen sites go from I bought one PBN and it was a DA75, and it was next week it updated down to like a 57. So it's quite a big loss in terms of domain authority. So that's why I kind of use it as links. They're too slow to update, and so I pretty much only use Majestic. Con, you use Majestic, right? I'm pretty sure.
Yes, I do. And recently, I'm like doing some training videos where I've moved over almost exclusively over to Ahrefs metrics.
Yeah, Ahrefs is really good too. It's just, for me, Ahrefs, I just can't. And comprehend a lot more. So how many people do wayback checking before they buy a domain? Give me one yes, two, if no. Sometimes, lots of ones. Who doesn't know what wayback is? 3. Check. All right. Yeah. So some people don't know what it is. Well, wayback is just it's basically an archive of any site, and they're a spider. So if you do block them, there's a lot of good sites out there that they actually block wayback, and so you can end up buying a spam site and you never know because you use wayback, and you don't find out until you put Webmaster Tools on it, and then it's like, oh, it's got a spam check on it, and so you can actually do a Google index checking on a lot of these sites, which is only going to be relevant usually for domain auctions, because they haven't expired long enough to lose their index count. And so it's kind of why I do start out with make sure that all my domains are indexed for in way over and to figure out if the domain is good quality, because I mean if it's been sitting for 2 years, obviously it's not going to be indexed anymore, but there's a lot more risk involved with it, but you can get a lot more bargains, okay, because a lot of people are bidding on the premium domains with 50 pages indexed, perfect metrics, and then they index. So indexing doesn't necessarily mean bad, okay. And we're also going to look at anchor profile checks, okay. So I'm just going to kind of read through this stuff, and then we're going to do some example stuff. Let's see. A lot of times the anchor text, it's going to tell you the story of the site, And it's going to be the first thing I look at when I look at a site, even after I check the metrics, obviously. The anchor text is always telling a story of what happened on that site. You can tell exactly if it's been natural, if it's been manipulated, if it's, Michael Kors, Viagra. It's going to show up in there. Okay, purposing of the old site. So a lot of times you're going to dictate a site re-theme, but I talk about retopicing or cross-topicing. And what I mean by that is, say if you bought like a dog site and you have a dentist, how do you promote a dentist site with a dog site? Well, you can always come up with a story of how a dentist donated, $10,000 to some kind of a dog. A lot of examples you can usually think of, but I dropped for some people. Can you guys still hear me? Give me a 1 if you can still hear me.
Yeah, you're cutting in and out for me through the whole thing.
Okay, no issues, no issues. All right. All right, so we'll run through Greg's method again. We're going to check on some sites. Reindexing old budget domains, topical, and metrics. So I always kind of go for topical, or not topical. I go for the metrics of a site. Trust flow and anything like that doesn't matter so much. What does help is the anchor text. So if a site in Majestic says it's all business related, it doesn't really matter as long as the anchor texts are somewhat related. That's why you're going to get like a big boost. That's what I recommend for people just trying to kind of start. If you just have like one client, you can buy $10 domains all day that are really relevant based on anchor text. So we'll get into some examples of that. Okay, let's go over here. All right, so I'll get out my Gmail. I'm going to show you guys how to start doing a lot of this stuff for free. Like even if you don't have Power Tools, or teach Power Tools in another webinar, but a lot of people use. How many people use like Register Compass right now, or Dome Cop, or just name off the ones that you kind of use right now? It'd be nice to know. Register Compass, Command Center, SERP, yeah. All right, and how many people aren't using anything? Really want to know, like, the people just starting out. Oh, finally, a juicy domains. Jeez. All right, some starting out. I don't like, when I was just starting out, I couldn't afford tools, and getting into like a subscription of $69 or one tool and $70 adds up quite fast, and your overhead all of a sudden it's $500 a month. And if you only have one client, even if it's your first client, it might only be $1,000 a month. So you're already losing $500 to that one, just that overhead there, and then you have nothing left to buy PBNs, right? So I'm going to show you some tactics. I still use this actually every day because not everything is perfect. Like Register Compass is not, Dome Cop is not perfect, Juicy Domains is not perfect. The data is usually going to be delayed. It's going to be 2 days, 3 days old because it's just too many credits. Like I deal with API credits all day long, and it costs us, $800 a month just to refresh the metrics of a site. So we only refresh the metrics when we do the first analysis, right? So, and what to start out with, see if I can find it for you. And I'll drop this link in here for you guys. So what is required though in this tool is you need a free Moz API. 1 minute, thin ones, but I recommend getting your own and adding it in here. And then you can use a Majestic, which I use, or you can use Ahrefs, and you can even use a SEMrush one. So just Majestic one I use. Oh, I got someone else in there. So list, you can do all these live checks on here. You can check the Google accounts, referring domains, citation flow, trust flow. And I will show you where to get some free lists. So this is basically what all those tools kind of do, but you can do it on your own and save any cost. So, and Namejet default, where's the list? What do you need from the mods? You just need a free API. Okay, so it's pretty simply just Google it, mods API, and it's a pretty simple setup. And if you don't, and NetPeak is a free tool, so that's why I kind of like teaching it to people just starting out. And also for if you find a register that has deleted domains coming up, and they're not in any tools, you can find some gold mines because no one else is kind of harvesting them, right? So this is Namejet delete list here. And auction listings, okay? So these auction listings are not the ones that most people are bidding on. These are public auctions, and what these are auctions that fail to get paid usually from a pending delete. So when you have a pending delete, if you have two bidders on the same domain, right? Is there a Mac version? No idea. I'm pretty sure there might be. Okay, so back on track here. So pending delete. This list here is a list compiled of almost every single register out there. Okay, so it can be, except for GoDaddy. I think they're the only ones that's not going to show up in here. But it's going to be all the little register, Dynajet, and everything. They're going to be piled in here. So this list here is going to be a massively larger list than these ones. Okay, so these pre-release domains. These are the ones that most people are using in their analytic tools, like Juicy Domains. We use this pre-release one. Who else? One tab, right? So if you go to, I can show you in here. So in Registered Compass, I actually still like this tool, even though I own Juicy Domains. I still use it, and I still use Juicy Domains because they have different advantages. And this one's a little bit more geeky mode for me, which I'm still trying to emulate in ours. Let's shrink this down. All right, so the list right here. It's going to be this one. These are exclusively that Namejet can bid on. Okay, so they have the relationship between what's Enom and what's the other one now? Colin, what's that one that was leaking registration? Maybe you went to the bathroom. Network Solutions, yes, thank you, Sebastian. Those are the two, those are exclusively set within Namejet, okay, so that's what you're going to get in here. These are going to be a little bit more premium priced, and so a lot of these auctions can go between, they're going to be starting minimum $69. Most auctions I end up buying at $400 or $500. Okay, and it says $69 here. Right now, they are $39, and so you can get some pretty good deals. And these are less harvested because there's more of them, and most people are still focusing on these ones here. But say, for example, if we wanted to bid on the domains coming up tomorrow, let's do this one. It's pretty simple to do. You just save the list. It's going to come in here, and you're going to have the date expires, the price I have right now, and the domain. Okay, so this one you're going to have to split into columns. Just load it up. Okay, I'm going to pause this for a second here. So I'm going to show you what kind of filters I set first. All right, so what I do when I come in here, I'm going to cancel everything here. Make sure you're going to get booted out of Google as soon as you start doing index checks and PR checks, guys. So what you want to do first is use the most easy to use API, which is the Moz API. Okay, so you're going to come in here, you're going to start a check, and then you're going to let it run. And it's pretty quick. This is. So how many people find this actually pretty cool just for even using just checking metrics of DA? Because, I mean, there's a lot of DA, bulk DA checkers out there that they're all very slow, and this one's extremely fast. What you want to do is and select more. Well, we only did a small sample, so I'm hoping there's at least one that's a 20. We'll do a 15 for now. All right, so we got some domains here. And you want to do that first because it's going to eliminate the most amount of domains. And it's kind of like a wide catch thing, right? So fire domain lists there. Like this one you're pending to delete, each one of these files is going to be about 89,000 domains. So using the Moz plugins, you can filter out all those by whatever domain authority you want. Usually, DA 10 for your budget kind of stuff, and DA 30 if you want to try. Who's lost? How do I get proxies when you're on a budget? Well, when you're on a budget, I use buyproxies.org, and I think you can get like 25 for was it $20 or something a month? You use Qzx911 ever? I don't know.
Yeah, I like to. It's not enough for people to even complain about. It's like 25 bucks a month. It's just part of doing a business. You own a digital agency, you've got clients. 25 bucks a month to get some proxies is a normal part of doing business. But guys, this is some pretty cool stuff right here. How many of you have never heard of NameJet or have been intimidated to go into NameJet and to pull out these auction domains right here and even know how to filter them through that quick? And now you're kind of getting a little bit more idea of how this operates. Just go to Facebook. Give me hashtag awake, because this is the kind of stuff right here. Everyone goes to GoDaddy. Everyone goes there. And when you start going to some of these other places that are less frequented, you're going to be able to find some bargain deals. This should awaken you guys tremendous amount. That's why I wanted to bring Derek on here. He has a different way of doing stuff. And, it's like absolutely amazing. If you don't understand it right now, guys, a lot of you are brand new with the Assimilation Light stuff. We haven't got to a little bit of this. Remember, assimilation is in between. It's sort of advanced to super advanced. So you'll get caught up for it, and this will be a great webinar for you to replay in the future. So it might be something right now. It might be a little over your head. That's okay. We're going to get you up to speed in the next couple of weeks on that. But guys, this is fantastic. It should give you a lot more ideas to just how to get out there and get expired domains for a lot less, because Derek, you and I both know that GoDaddy is just kind of like where everyone goes, and you're always going to pay way more than you should at GoDaddy. That's just the way it is.
Yeah, it comes down to just knowledge. I mean, it's just the more places you're able to buy from puts you in a less of a pinch. Like, say if you got 10 clients, you got to buy PBNs. You got to get these links done, and so you end up paying more and more for them because you get into bidding wars, right? And it's just nicer to be like, I'll just buy from here. I got 20 new PBNs. I'll just use these ones already. And being able to understand the difference between the different lists and where to buy them from and how to get deals, it makes a huge difference. Like, I mean, my first year of buying PBNs, I think I spent $17,000 on them, and most of them, I think my 50% of those I can't even use anymore, right? So it's kind of like a lost investment, right?
Sure. Definitely. And we're getting some questions about how to set up proxies, how to look at proxies. Guys, this is, and I'm going to say this with as much love as I can. Guys, a lot of you need to really, unless you're brand new, you can learn about proxies. Proxies are so easy, and there's copy and paste and throw it in somewhere. There are several videos everywhere that show you how to do it. There has to be a time, if you really want to be successful, you have to stop acting like an employee and start acting like an entrepreneur. And entrepreneurs will say, how to set up proxies? Let me search here. Let me search there. They'll get the answer quickly without waiting for us to give it to you. Remember what I said, some of the keys to success. Be the man that has the answers, not the man that waits on them. Proxies are very easy. Don't be intimidated by them. It's just copy paste is all it is.
Yeah. And someone brought up a point, like if you don't have enough PBN, which is true, like even Network Crusaders, it's a really good idea for you to start, if you're starting out especially, to be part of those kind of networks. Fightback network, you have to be careful because a lot of the networks are 400 sites in each one, 200 sites, 300 sites, and most people are just throwing their junk in there, right? Like they're PR based. So if it's like a PR5 site, all they're going to do PR5 site, right, to throw in there. They're not going to care about the domain authority. They're not going to care about the trust of the site. They're not going to care about any of that stuff, right? They just need to make the minimum requirement of the PR5. And you can get a PR5 with 0 links on them. I've gotten like 10, 20 of those things where just, when I first started out, I was buying domains on PR, and that's the quality of signal I was using back then, right? And they had like literally no link. Teaching back then, it's like, so much more that, PR doesn't update. It's also irrelevant. It doesn't indicate strength of anything. The only time I ever use PR, and I'm sure Con does too, is when I'm looking at the actual individual backlinks of a PBN. Like if I'm looking at it, I want to see that it has PR on some of these links because I know that that link's been around for a long time, and it's an indicator of age because it hasn't updated in over a year. And why proxies are required is it's not required if you want to do if you don't want to do index checking, then you don't need proxies. If you just want to do Moz domain authority checking, you don't need proxies. If you don't want to just do Majestic checking, you don't need the proxies. Okay, the proxies are for Google because this tool is cool enough that you can go out and check. You can check there's a reason I want to check the index count, and it's not just to make sure it's indexed. Okay, so say for example we have here, we're going to highlight all these Majestic ones, and then we're going to check index Google. And if you are buying for Fightback Networks, you're going to need, what are you going to need? PR. So we can check the Matthew, you can't get into Fightback Networks, but it's a subscription based. So, all right. So while this checks, I'm going to explain again, since people didn't understand this. So the pendingly is a compiled list of pretty much all availability of the registration. Okay. So from pretty much anywhere on the internet, registers, Dynadots, eRock, there's Namecheap, I think even drops in there sometimes. So it's going to be everything. But the problem with them is if you do a back order here or place a bid and someone bids somewhere else, say GoDaddy, and has a higher bid, it's kind of like a silent auction. Whoever has bid's going to win it. If two or three people are bidding in Namejet and they're both higher than what someone bid in, say, like Phoenix, it won't go into an auction. So it'll be the highest bidder, silent auction, basically. Does that make sense? Okay, so, and then the pre-release domains, these are exclusive to Namejet. Only Namejet can bid on these. It's the only place. You can't buy these at anywhere else. You can't buy them at Namecheap or anything like that. You can't backorder them anywhere else. So you know that if there has more than one bidder on any of these lists, it's going to go to an auction. Okay, and then when it goes to the auction, you have to win it. And if no one pays for that auction, like say someone's credit card is declined multiple times, it recycles back into a public auction over here. And there's not very many in these. Usually you can find some good jet auctions. They're talking about these private auctions. Okay, you have to be placing a drop bid to even enter that auction. Once that auction starts, there's no one else allowed to get in there. Right? These ones you can start at any time you want. Right? Yeah, you can use semi-dedicated proxies. Whatever your budget is. I use just for here, so I use it for GSA and other tools and stuff like that. So, and my VAs use them, etc. So, and just for correlation, like for all the registered Compass people, again, the auction ones here, that is the pre-release ones, and then these expiring ones are the pending the league ones. Okay. Starting to, all right, so just checking what. A lot of this stuff will be slow because I'm streaming at the same time. Okay, so let's just open. I know this one was the high DA one. Which one? This one was. It's just a ICANN verification here. All right, so by most means, this looks like a pretty good domain. It's a DA39, and that was a pending what was that? We got it off of the pre-release domain. So that's going to be a namejet exclusive, okay? A lot of times, all I need to do is use this domain just by doing this, because right away, you know, it's passing my 1 to 2 trustful ratio, okay? See, we have 19, and this is the URL of 42 here, and this is the actual individual URL, not the root, but the root itself is also not looking very good. It's 11 and 23. So automatically, I would press this one, but let's take a deeper look and just kind of see what is actually going on here. I'll just kind of show you what my daily routine is. You want to switch to root all the time. And why do we want root? Because the root is the entire domain. So every single link or page, subdomain, post, whatever, this is the total of all the summary of the links. So this is the last password, trying to save everything. And what I do usually on auction domains, not necessarily expired domains, is I kind of just scroll down the pages, and I want to look to make sure that we have some pages with links on them. And this one's looking pretty weak. Other than, I definitely would pass this one, but let's check out the anchor text. So it already looks like there's some kind of weird stuff going on here. Extends free trial, right? Right away, this is it's a bad domain, right? So we would skip this one. Let's see if we got. See, now we come back in here and we have some. Well, why is it okay? Why is it bad? Well, mail enhancement is not probably a niche that, unless you're in the mail enhancement niche, you might want to buy it. But this screams unnatural profile. Okay, so the first thing I always look for. Imagine this is that. It's a keyword. It's a money anchor text. Every single thing in here has a commercial intent. What we want to do is kind of look for more things that are going to be branded, natural linking, which is going to be continue reading article, more information, but the brand name, the URL anchors, makes no sense necessarily. It could be in the middle of a sentence structure, right? But all of this is completely commercialized, and everything is pretty much SEO'd because it's almost the exact anchor text I would do if I was spamming something. Is this? Yeah, it's kind of a mail enhancement pill, Tim. All right, let's go look at something else anyways.
Just some important information. Mitchell just posted in the Facebook group that that mail enhancement drug doesn't work, that he has split tested it for everybody.
Okay, good, because I was wondering.
Thank you, Mitchell.
All right. So usually I'm working with a list of a couple thousand domains, right? And once I have the domain authority sorted out, usually, 15, 20, whatever your budget is, that for more money you're going to be spending, right? So, and also it's going to be harder and harder to get that domain. So come down in here and over here, sorry. And I usually do a trust flow here, more than 10. Hopefully it won't wipe out everyone because we just got one site. And then, so it's going to filter out. Because we had such a small sample size, we're going to lose everything, right? And for our, let's see, where is, did I lose register compass here? Let's look at some auctions right now. And okay, so what we have is I do start with index over 0. I do start with a DA25, and I do IP addresses over 20. And you can change this up and down to your whatever your likings are. I usually go for a little bit more higher end stuff, so I'm trying to do 40. And the reason I want to have at least IP addresses over 20 and domains over 40 is sites that have 40 referring domains and only have 10 IP addresses. So what is that screaming to everyone right now? What is that? If you have 40 referring domains and you have 5 referring IPs, anyone have an answer? No one. Unnatural, yeah. What else?
I think everyone's asleep. Come on, guys. Let's get this going.
Site-wide. No, it's not going to be site-wide links. Okay, it's going to be referring domains, and okay, yeah, it means that there are link networks. So whenever you have a link network and you buy that PBN, it's going to associate you with that link network. And even though you're developing your own link network, you're going to get penalized. Yeah. Close that. Stop messaging me. All right. What I do like about Register Compass right now, though, is that you can mark the domain. So once you looked at them, you can come back in here and just kind of, oh, I already looked at that one. I'm going to come back and look at some new domains, right? So, for example, let's see, this one's $139 right here. I do on a deal. First thing I do is I go to the domain auction. And why do I go to the domain auction first? I want to make sure that if there's multiple bidders on it, like there's 2 bids here already, I can go ahead and just throw my bid in there for $69. Even though it says minimum bid here, I guess we're interested. All right. Why do I do that? Because I want to be included in the auction, and I don't want to have to spend the time researching this domain too much right now. And the reason for that is because when the auction comes up, and I researched this domain 3 days ago, I have no idea what was going on there. It could be decent enough that I could have been loving it, and I just completely forgot about it. And if you become a user, you're going to be bidding on sometimes 50 to 60 domains a day. And you're going to be researching that domain as the auction ends. So usually in the last 20 minutes, that's where I really want to know how much I want to spend on that domain. So that's why we use metrics and some basic checks before we get into the auction. But once we're in the auction, that's when we really start scrutinizing things. We want to know exactly. So, for example, now, say the auction's starting, and so the minimum bid is $139. This, obviously, I can't win it at $69, but at least I can be in the auction. I can watch the auction. I can come in at Majestic. So remember, this is after an auction. So say there's like a day left. First, this to me looks pretty natural, even though it looks. What is this, French? Yes, not much of a Canadian, am I? But this is looking really nice and healthy, right? And there's nice, very many different anchor texts. It's not been SEO'd. Go over the summary. I want to check the metrics quick. It's looking pretty good. This is referring IPs and domains. So it's going to have some linked networks, but the percentage is low enough. Don't go over more than 10% usually. So this is probably around that range. This is where I want to make sure as many as I can get. You want to get this as close as you can to here, but it's never going to happen. There's too many different scraper sites out there. There's too many authority sites that are just built over dozens of the same IP. Right? Sites like this, but it's natural. This is just within the natural realm of things about this kind of percentage right here. Referring subnets is this is where it goes down to the base of the IP address. So you can just kind of see in here. Referring domains, I think. I don't actually ever dig into the IP addresses. Con, you remember where the IPs are on this thing? I don't think it shows.
I really, hold on. You got me doing work over here, and then you're asking me questions, and I'm trying to get what's going on.
All right, well,
the IPs?
It doesn't really matter. Yeah, someone was
the IPs
about. But it's just like
summary.
No, I mean, it doesn't display individual IPs like you want to see. They wanted to see the difference between subnets and IPs, but basically a subnet is just like it's coming from the same C class. If you're going A class, B class, each class is going to be assigned the first, like say if you bought like a group of IP addresses, the first 3 numbers is going to be in your IP class, say class 3, then they all have different numbers after that, but those are all be in the same subnet. So it's basically a block of IPs. So a lot of times, people's networks are getting busted because they have a lot of the same subnet IPs because they all have. It's like saying buying a bunch of phone numbers and you got like 736, 4 or 1234, then you got 736, 1234, 5, 1235, 1236, whatever. It's forming a pattern. This one is pretty good. Like this is a good quality domain in my opinion so far. It's a .tv? That's fine, right? You know, there's no more TLD preferences, especially with PBNs. Juice is juice. I don't really care if it's a .info, .com, .net. And you're actually going to get a little bit better price on a .tv because a lot of people still believe that completely love this domain so far. Okay, the next check I would do, if considering that we're already in auction, say, is it going to go in Waybacks? Yeah, the IP I'm talking about is usually the A record, the A record or the DNS. Like if you're not using DNSs, you're talking about an A record usually. It's the site, the IP is your phone number for the website. Come in here. All right. And what we do see is it's kind of like a blank activity here between 2016, 15 here, and then this is, you can tell when the site was been pretty active. What I want to do is go back into when it was at its prime, look for some stuff, look for clues. Access forbidden. Hit the back button. See when you get something that's actual real. And this happens all the time. A lot of times sites are down for. I mean, that's what, so we actually found what it originally was. And this looks like a good quality site, all right? this is not the most important part of the step, though. Okay, what we want to do is make sure that the last phases here, click on that one. So if you can see over here, click onto the last recorded date. And watch recorded dates. Anyone? Are you live? What's important that we look at the recent, right? Yeah, because okay, the most common thing that happens to these is they become PBNs. They take good sites like this and then they throw up these link networks that are just selling links. And it's been here. All right. So this one looks pretty good. There's nothing really going on though, so it's just registration. Buy it here. And so for me right now, this is a really strong site. And a lot of times, whenever I buy an expensive site and it doesn't get indexed, it's because it was a PBN. It got penalized. And I didn't notice it because it's one of those little slots there. It was indexed as a PBN, and it way back only got 1 or 2 slides of it. And so that's why you have to watch for the jumps. Every time there's a jump, that means there's no activity really going on, or there's no traffic and the bot's not going there anymore because it's down. Okay, so the next check we want to do is go to actually Google. And we'll see if it's renewed. Okay, it's good. So this looks pretty clean so far. Yeah, very clean. You're going to find that when these domains drop, it's going to have cache advanced, deck consolidation, etc. like that. But that's just because when the domain is parked, it's going to have these. When you do in here, let's get rid of one of these. Go back in here. Let's say these are all decent sites. We'll let it run. What you're going to do is watch for excessive pages indexed. Right? Was 20,000 pages indexed. I want to know why they have 20,000 pages indexed. And you're going to come down here, you're going to find that people have been using these sites for spam generation. They're going to be covered in Viagra pages. They're going to be covered in local plumbing, stuff like that, because it's a huge niche. And buying these domains that looked good, they have good anchor text. A lot of natural, because guess what? They're cloaking something. They're showing the bots one thing, and then they're showing Google another thing that they want to rank, right? So it's not going to show up in the wayback. So this is one of those checks that I didn't do before, like maybe a year ago, and now I do it quite often. Hopefully this is helping some people. Quiet crowd. All right. What am I exactly looking for? Wayback is a history teller. It's telling you what happened onto the site. But because not all sites are going to have, let's look at another one here. Click on this one. Log me up. All right. Let's go in here. Bid so far. And I want to do my checks before I go into the auction, because if I bid on this right now and I could end up getting it even if I didn't want it. So that's why we want to make sure there's at least 2 people in here before we blindly bid, okay? And the reason we blindly bid is because if we're buying lots of sites, bidding on things that we know we can't win unless we actually bid up. This one, I could actually win without bidding. I could bid $69 in here and win it and not want it. So that's why we'd have to do our checks. We're going to go in here, again, check in here. This looks good, 134, but referring IPs and referring subnets is even getting lower and lower, right? So there's probably some link networks going on in this one, and I can probably just go over here into the anchor text, and I can tell you exactly why. Right? It looks pretty. 113,000 backlinks of one anchor text. So this one is pretty junk, right? And we can use Wayback to confirm this. If I blindly bid on this, are you muting in and out there, God?
Yeah. It's fun.
Click, click, click. All right, so this one. One thing I hate about Wayback is you get into a does domain age matter? In terms of juice flow, not really. But in terms of the quality of the links that are going to have there, it's going to be important because links aren't acquired easily. They're acquired over time. They could just be doing more active campaigns in like a newer domain, and they can acquire the same amount of quality links in a shorter period of time. But if you're looking at a domain that was registered 1 year ago, and then they have 2,000, 3,000 backlinks, that's pretty unnatural in my opinion. So that's the kind of domain age that's going to be important. There's no difference between a 90s domain and a 2000 domain and maybe an early 2005 whatever domain in terms of links age. So this one looks pretty, I don't know, I pass on this one, right? And if you did the site check as well, yeah, excessively long. And even if this is dropped, you can click down on here, you can view the cache page. It's going to show in here. So it's kind of like a mini Wayback Machine, right, when you do that. But this is how you can find a lot of those ones that are spammed, and if they're really good, they're blocking Wayback. Or if Wayback has no information. There's also another one called Screenshots. I think it's .net, and it will show you little screenshots just like Wayback does, and it's also a pretty good tool. All right, what was I going to cover else in here? Maybe you want to. Is there any questions you want to field there?
I don't know. I'd like to think we've covered quite a bit, guys. This has been super helpful to a lot of you, especially those of you. A lot of you, are normally self-taught with a lot of this stuff. It's really not covered in this type of a detail. inside of OMG that we're going into. That's why I wanted Derek to do this, especially with snap names, with the net peaker, with all that other sort of stuff. It's really not seen, or there's not anything on video anywhere. And this is pretty powerful stuff for you guys. And, I'm like looking at the Facebook group right now, but guys, I like really want you to show your appreciation for Derek showing all this sort of stuff, because it is, and we're going to take Mark say, give me hashtag powerful. There's some powerful stuff right here that can definitely be the foundational stuff that you guys go out and build your PBN networks with. It's always important to know how to check your own work, regardless if you're going to buy PBN in bulk from someone or anyone else. Guys, you need to know how to check your own work and check what you're buying, and that's what this teaches you how to do. And, Derek goes into great depth with this, and there's even more stuff. This is just part one. Derek's really going through the very basic stuff right here. But guys, really remember, Derek is not paid to be on here. You want to talk, I am. I'm like one of the partners of OMG. So if you really want to thank someone, I'm paid to be here, he isn't. So Derek is literally here because he cares. He really wants to help people. Yeah. That's why this is how you can show your appreciation to him, by saying, damn, man, you really do care. Because he's taking the time. He could be spending it with his family, spending it with, eating or just working or doing something else, taking his time out of his day to just care about you guys and give you this information. That's what makes Derek so damn cool.
Yeah.
So.
And I definitely want to show, I want to show you guys, all the tools, you need to, because I don't want to be, because I know I own Juicy Domains, and I'm like, well, I'm going to be biased, but if you use all the different domains or different tools, you can make a judgment call on your own, because I don't want to be saying yeah, this one's the best, this one's the best, because some people just don't like register companies. I think is a really good tool. Some people just can't stand ugly design, it's and then it just literally, it's I can't work on that. It's just too ugly for me, right? I like fresh drops, and I think Juicy Domains now is probably it's coming along really, really strong, and especially in terms of design. But I was going to show you some cool things with fresh drops here, because they use some other drop lists that you can buy. You can start getting these domains for $20. Okay, so and we'll just do a quick, because I know we want to. How much time we got? Time gone. We want to wrap it up at 20 minutes, right?
Yeah, we can go for another 10 minutes, and we'll be good. That gives me 20 minutes to get ready for the webinar.
All right, so what auctions are, essentially is backwarding, right? And it's called, another word for that is drop catching. It's because you're dropping it as soon as it expires, and if you can catch it and you're the only one, you're going to get it for that price, right? As soon as, if you have two people bidding on it, that's when you start getting into auctions. But a lot of times you can get budget domains for $20. And they're not going to lose their history, because when you drop them, they're not going into that expired set, right? And you can keep a lot of the, if you care, PR. PR drops when domains expired. Well, if it ever updated, they're supposed to drop. As soon as a domain goes to expiration, give it a couple months, it'll lose its PR. But it doesn't really matter anymore. The juice is still there, but the further you get down into the process of buying domains, the weaker the sites are going to get, because the more competition has been set, right? So an auction is going to be the strongest domains. If ever an auction someone didn't bid on a domain and didn't go to auction, it's going to get picked up in drop auctions or drop bids, and then expired. So expired market is extremely competitive. People are trying to buy domains for $10, right? So drop catching is the art of kind of getting domains before they go into an auction, or getting the domains that will never go into an auction as well. So in here, for instance, I go feeds, and I do Phoenix, because there's a lot of cheap ones in here. When I do buy, I use Greg's penalty check is usually after I register a site, okay, and then I put content up on it. You can do some of the checks beforehand if it's freshly dropping and it still has some content up there, but usually if a site's been expired for a year, or it's been not expired, sorry, has no content on it, it's been parked for over a year, it's going to go down in rankings, right? It's going to lose its power. It's going to lose. It's not going to be on page one for all the checks anymore because if they're just park pages. All they do, those park pages, is collect pay-per-click ads. And does Google want pay-per-click ads on a site every time someone clicks on it? No, because that's where they're losing their well, sometimes they get money on it, but a lot of times these private parking pages are using other funds. So, but it's also just polluting the index, right? So, what I like about Fresh Drops is they have a lot of these weird one-off sites like Dynadot and Phoenix. And if you go in here, back orders, the only thing I hate about this place is the mods DA and PA are never working. So if you want them, you can use these guys for free for a while. I think you get a 30-day trial. I come in here and I just look at the trust flow for now because the mods DA does not ever seem to work for me. And check Google indexed. And then I filter it. And from here, export it. Why am I exporting it? Because I want to use my net peak checker. Because I want to get the DAs of these. It's going to be in here somewhere. There you go. So it's got all these different feeds in here. Snappool, Namejet, etc. like that. And what I like to do is just filter them. Let's go feed. Let's do Phoenix. We'll do a sample run. Clear this out. You guys are going to start loving this net peak checker, I'll tell you that much. Like before I said, I always start with just the Moz. Then I run that. And the thing about with Phoenix is a lot of these domains are they're going to end up in that expired list, the pending delete list on Namejet there. But if you bid on specifically inside Phoenix, it's giving you a little bit of a priority over someone else backording from a different register because it's their domains, right? And they like to kind of award people inside their own first, unless you're getting outbid. So if you get outbid, then it's a different situation. But if you're bidding here in Phoenix at like $22 or whatever it is, and someone else is bidding at $22, you're going to win that auction. It's kind of like like I said, a silent auction. This one's going pretty good. Eh? See, look how quick that is. It's already did 100 and something domains. All right, let's come in here. And Phoenix, I always do. It's kind of a personal choice, but I do about DA20. I'm just going to filter out these. Then you can run all your other checks. But I don't want to keep showing that over and over again. So just kind of look at this quick. I want to make sure if I can back order or not. Like this one looks pretty strong. I'm going to fly through this pretty good. This one is kind of a iffy. It's got almost 50% of the same IPs with 200 different domains. Might change when I go back to root. It looks like it was a pretty good site, at least. So if I get it for like $20 or something like that, I'm going to be happy. Even if it has somewhat linked networks, doesn't mean it was penalized. Because there are natural link networks. See, like these ones are going to be. This one is not indexed right now. That could be a bad sign. Doesn't necessarily mean it because it could have been dropping for a long time, right? It just eliminates that one check we can do for now. And you can re-index these if the history is really good. You can just come back in there, put some content in there, and look at this. We got like nothing in here. What's going on? You want the referring domains to closely match the referring IPs, but I would say if you had more than 25%, you could have a problem, but a lot of times 25% could be completely safe just in nature of the link networks. But it's just I want you to be cautious. I want you to look a little bit more into the domain, look at the history of the domain if it has a lot more matching, like if the IPs are really high or really it's like 50% of what's referring domains, then you want to analyze it a lot more and see what the nature of that site was. If it was a political site like this one, it's probably completely fine because it's not a sign of SEO. It's only a sign of SEO if it was trying to rank for something. Like this one is probably just a government site. Well, not government site, but like a political site. But let's see. This kind of looks like a PBN to me. Maybe a foreign one. And look at this casino. Yeah. So this looked like really good until what we had way back here, casino online stuff. So that's a different skip, but I'll just show you what Phoenix is kind of cool for. So I would skip that one, but if you built a list of all those domains and come in here, this is Phoenix with 2 E's. Give you guys a link. You can drop back orders right here. It's going to be $21, and for most of the .coms, .nets, drop back ordering .tvs. You want to make sure that they're pretty good quality because look at almost $60, right? The Super Saver one, you have to have 1,000 Phoenix points to get there. I don't really have enough yet, so. But this one here, it brings down the price to $13.99. So if you're using these quite often, it's pretty good to get. I use Phoenix mostly for getting like the PBN or like fightback networks or kind of like second tier PBNs because I can at $21 I can buy 20, 30 domains, and anything that doesn't meet, it's not really good quality standards, I can just throw it into fightback networks and use it over there, and it's really good. I'm like, oh, wow, sweet, I actually bought this domain. I could, from there, I'll use it as my private network, right? Any questions so far about this? Because I understand, like, the drop catching is getting a domain that no one else is bidding on, so it doesn't go into an auction. Yeah, you probably have to watch it again.
Yeah, there'll be a replay up pretty quick, and just keep all your questions for the next Q&A next week. We'll be happy to answer any PBN questions.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, this is something that you're going to want to watch over and over again.
What was I going to talk about?
You got about everything?
I'm never good at explaining stuff. Yeah.
You got about everything covered that you wanted to with this?
Well, we talk about drop catching. We talk about auctions. I think most people are familiar with GoDaddy by closeouts. That's the $5 ones. Go in there. That's where you can buy a lot of your Fight Back Network domains because you're going to get PR metrics.